Welcome back, everybody, as we get going here on a Tuesday afternoon. We've got Alberto Urueta with us as well. Adrian Broadus, Steve Kaplow. It's good to have you back. 600 ESPN El Paso is our home. 505-6009, our telephone number, 505-6009. Coming up here in just a few minutes, Stephanie Hahn will be dropping by our 600 ESPN El Paso River Oaks Properties Schoolyard Sports Studios. Stephanie going to be fighting on Friday night out at the Coliseum. Ring Wars 9. She is the main event. 5 female bouts on the 9-bout fight card. So Stephanie will be in to talk a little bit about her opponent and what this means for her to be part of the big night of boxing out at the Coliseum, where tickets are on sale now, and they start at just $25 each. So, Adrian, really excited about this. In fact, thinking about today's show and knowing just the kind of relationship that we have had with the Hahns over the years. It started with Jennifer. Really, when she first came on the scene, Jennifer joined us on a regular basis. Then A.B. Hahn, her brother, was also a big part of our show. And when he was fighting on, professional cards, he would come on the program. And now Stephanie, she is the third member of the Hahn family to be joining us. And, in fact, she's outside. So if we can get Alberto, she's probably out back, I would think. Out back, let's try that. And then bring Stephanie on the show. That'll be great because, Adrian, I'm just excited to have her back and excited about boxing back in El Paso.
Okay, I didn't hear your introduction, so I apologize if this sounds repetitive. But Stephanie Hahn is not only fighting opponents in the ring, but she's fighting crime on the streets, Steve. Have you heard this? She's a cop.
Yeah, I know.
That's awesome. I just found this out.
Yeah, she is probably the first boxer in El Paso that I can know from a professional fighter who has also been a police officer.
Yeah,
I don't think I know of anybody else like that.
You know what? I love it. I think that she should play into this as far as, something that she could use as a little shtick when she gets out onto the ring. So that would be awesome stuff right there.
So Stephanie's going to join us in a moment. I'm excited about that. Let me take Manny in Cruces. He'll be first up today on the program on the phones, 505-6009. Manny, welcome aboard. Good to have you on the show. How you doing today?
Thank you. Doing pretty good.
Awesome.
As usual, trying to stay out of the wind, but there's dirt all over the place. So I guess it's going to be multi-shower time today.
Oh, it is windy. It is windy. No doubt about that.
Bad.
That's for sure.
I just want to make a comment about the UTEP basketball team, the men team. It is frustrating to see these guys lose.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they can't learn how to close a game when they're in there tight. But one thing that I have noticed, and I used to coach basketball for quite a few years, the offense that coach is using doesn't seem to fit these guys. These guys most of the time look confused. I don't know if they're not understanding the system, and they should by now. I mean, that's a lot of games they've played already.
I'll be honest,
they
Manny.
already have the system down.
I don't know if there's any offense that would fit this system. I mean, with these guys, I really don't. Like, if you watch them play a lot and you see them on the court, they're just offensively challenged. I mean, I don't necessarily know if it's a system thing or if it's just these guys, a lot of them just can't score. And they can't close, and they can't, they can't get through the final few minutes when they've really been playing hard for the first 35, 36 minutes of a game. I don't know. Winning's weird. It's a mentality. You got to have it. You got to, and it's mental. Like when you've lost a bunch of games and you're in the last 5 minutes, sometimes these guys, maybe it's like, here we go again. And that's why winning a game in the final few minutes is so important, because it'll get them over the hump potentially and get them to start believing in themselves, which is something that's been missing, especially as of late.
Exactly. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Another thing that I noticed is I don't think he likes guys that are 6'10" or taller. He obviously doesn't play Hamilton very much, and I'm not going to say that Hamilton is a grade A basketball player. He's learning.
Sure.
And yes, he's a little bit slow on his feet, but you give him that ball underneath the basket, and what did he do the other night? 16 points.
He can score. He can definitely score. I mean, it's weird because
you got to give him the ball.
So here's the thing about Hamilton. I don't even care about the defensive fact. I mean, I know he can't play defense because he's slow, and I get all that. That's fine. At least he can score. But the problem is also, if you keep him out for extended minutes, he gets tired, and he can't stay in the game because he's gassed. So that's the hard part, too. It's like you got to know when to use him because you're only going to get him in 2 or 3 or 4 minute bunches. So you got to figure out the most strategic times to try to get him in to play and score. But if you could do that and it works, then I agree with you because, yeah, he could definitely finish.
Who is that other kid that I see? He looks like he's about 7 foot tall. He's not.
This is Babacar. This is Babacar and Bengi.
Yeah, Babacar is redshirting, so he's not playing this year because he's redshirting. So you'll see him next year.
Does he have any kind of experience?
No.
No. Okay, so he's going to be one of these that you have to show him what to do and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that.
He's a project.
You teach him right.
Yeah, he's a project. But I guess the thing is this: sometimes having a 7-foot project is better than having a 6'2" or a 6'3" project, right?
Even a 6'7" project.
Yes. I would take. Yes, I will take a 7-foot project over the others. That's for sure. You can't teach height, and 7 feet is still 7 feet.
Exactly. I used to have to change systems offensively so that my teams, according to what I had, could run an offense properly and be able to score. But this guy, Golden, doesn't seem to want to change what he did back at Christian.
Let me ask you this, though. Let me ask you this, Manny. Yeah. Be honest to me, okay? If you watch this basketball team all season, do you really believe that there's a system that exists that could get them to score more than they're scoring right now?
Yeah.
And if so, what is it? Because they would probably like to hear it as much as I would. So what do you think would be a system to maximize scoring for this existing team?
You can run a motion offense with these guys with high screen screens, high screen screens with these guys where they can screen and release. You can run screens down low where the guard that may be setting a screen on the big man can turn quickly as the big man is on defense is following our big man. You got to give him the ball quick. One thing that I did notice is that when Hamilton is underneath the basket, these guys won't give him the ball.
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
that's
like they don't like him.
But here's the other question. Okay, Hamilton aside, how do you set up an offense for a team that can't shoot?
You run 4 out with screens. So where you pass the ball underneath to him, you set screens on the outside, on the corners, or up on top, and let that guy break in for a layup. He's either going to make the layup or he's going to dish it off to Hamilton.
Yeah. And what happens when you can't? And what happens when you can't? What do you do when you can't shoot and you can't finish most of your layups? Then what do you do?
And I'll tell you what, get rid of that doggone three-point play because that's all these guys do.
Yeah.
If you notice, 80% of their offense is three-point shots.
Yeah, I know.
Don't you guys know how to use a bank shot? Don't you guys know how to use a mid-range shot?
Well, the thing is this: if you can't shoot, especially can't shoot threes, then you wonder why you keep shooting them. Because if I'm a defense, you'll give them the 3 all game long if you know you can't make a shot. So I get that.
Exactly. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
You know that your percentage is like 20%.
Yeah.
From the 3-point shot. Get in there closer.
I appreciate you, Manny. Thanks for the call. Adrian, I feel like I'm hosting Minor Talk with this first call of the show. I feel like now I know what you're like after games with that call from Manny right there.
Yeah, well, you had some tremendous patience there, Steve. I appreciated your patience because I would have cut off the caller after the first analysis of what they should have done. I mean, look, what happened is exactly what he said, the 4 corners. You don't think they've tried that? That's exactly why teams have switched on to the zone format against them. And then if you want to call back in and say, oh, well, I can tell you how to break the zone. Well, sure. You got to shoot to also break the zone. And you got to also create spacing to break the zone. But what he was suggesting right there, they've tried. Tried that.
A zone is daring somebody to shoot and beat them. If you can't shoot, they're going to zone. We said this months ago that I would keep zoning. I'd zone UTEP all season long because they can't shoot.
Yeah, and now they've done a little bit better to adjust to it, but it's by keeping the pace high, like he was saying.
All right, Stephanie Hahn's here with us right now. Stephanie, I apologize.
It's okay.
Now you get an idea of what we get to deal with like most of every day during basketball season.
This is very interesting.
Is it?
Very interesting.
Can you imagine if we took calls and they're analyzing your boxing style and they're like, let me tell you what Stephanie needs to do. And this is what she needs to do. You know, we see this, but this is it's almost like what it would be like. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yes, it is. As an athlete, we train hard, but to be, I guess, critiqued in that sense, yeah, I would be frustrated a little bit.
Would you like that? Would you like a show one day where all we do is devote it to your boxing? Well, after Friday's fight, okay, you're in the main event and you fight. Then Monday we'll take the calls and we'll say, if you're at the fights, give us your thoughts of Stephanie in the ring and let us know what she's doing right and what she could do better. And then we'll take calls for 3 hours about you and your boxing.
That'd be nice. That'd be interesting. I would love to hear what everyone else has to say about me and my performance.
As long as they go and watch you on Friday night at the Coliseum, that's all that matters, right? Then, hey, they can say all they want. Just be in the ring and be out there and be at the Coliseum to watch you and everybody else for Ring Wars 9.
As long as they come and support us, they could analyze me, critique me in any way, but just go and support me as well as all the local fighters.
Now, I said this before I brought you on. You are the third member of the family that we have been developing a relationship with here at this radio station. It started with your sister, then your brother, now you. I'm excited. Will there be others? Will there be other members of the Hahn family that will one day find themselves on Sports Talk to talk about their boxing career?
I think I'm the last sibling, but all of us have procreated and we all have little ones. So
That's true.
I think they'll be the next ones to follow in our footsteps, for sure.
So what you're telling me is in the next 15 years or so, maybe give or take,
yes,
we could be talking about the next generation
of Hans. Han grandkids, for sure, yes. My brother, Abraham Hahn, professional fighter, he has 3 beautiful kids. Jennifer has 2. I have 2. My twin sister, she has 2.
Okay, so of the 9 kids,
yes,
because there's 9, there's 3, and 9
grandkids,
right? Of the 9 grandkids, how many of these do you believe have a legit shot? Like you could see it, or down the road, they follow in the footsteps of everybody and get into the martial arts or boxing or sport like that. What do you think?
So, Abby, he has 2 daughters. One of them, the second one, her name is Aubrey. She's so fierce. And I feel so sorry for any person that gets with her because she's very competitive and she gets what she wants. So just based on her personality, I think she's going to be great. My twin sister, she also has a daughter, Emma. She's going to be great. And Jennifer Hahn, my sister, her first son, Moses, he lives in the gym. He grew up in the gym just like us. He's 5 years old and he has the same lifestyle as we have. So those 3, I think, are going to be the best for sure.
So you can already foresee a future where we are probably talking about the next generation of Hahn fighters.
Yes, for sure. Jenny's son, Abby's daughter, and Heather's daughter. Okay. Their personalities. And even Jenny's son, Moses, he already hits his head all the time. Like he falls, he's already been inoculated. He's already training.
I love that. Meanwhile, you mentioned your twin sister. Is
yes.
she the only one of the kids that really never got into the professional aspect of fighting?
Yes.
She fought as an amateur, correct?
She fought as an amateur, but she had injuries that held her back from doing it professionally. And then she had 2 kids. And from me and my sister, we both had normal births, but she had a C-section, so it was harder to recover. Mm-hmm. So right now, she's just happy taking care of her kids. But she's the only one that didn't do it professionally.
Let me tell you something about Heather. On Friday night, she will be out there screaming and yelling. She's the most vocal.
She's the loudest.
She is by far the loudest. In fact, if you watch the fights, go to Ring Wars 9 Friday at the Coliseum, you will hear Heather.
Yes.
And she will be, especially when you're in the ring, shouting encouragement from pretty much start to finish. And you know what else? She paces. She's nervous. So she will be walking around, and then she gets to a spot close to ringside where she watches. She is almost like that coach that isn't in your corner, but she is because she's so close to the ring that you can hear her when she's yelling during the fight.
She's the loudest cheerleader. And all of us, we all get nervous for each other when we fight. We've all been there. So this is not different from when she cheers for me, when she cheers for Jenny, when she cheers for Abby. She's just as loud and supportive.
Okay. When we come back, I want to talk about Friday. About your big fight. You're in the main event, which is exciting.
Yes.
Being main eventing this card at the Coliseum, and we'll talk about your opponent and everything else that gets us all ready for the show on Friday. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Stephanie Hahn here with us right now as we continue. Let's go to Charlie. Charlie 1 and get our first traffic update of the afternoon. Back here right now with Stephanie Hahn. She is going to be in the main event. Friday night, Coliseum, Ring Wars 9. Stephanie is wearing her Police Academy long-sleeve T-shirt. Adrian, you said this earlier.
Yes.
When Stephanie is not in the ring, she is protecting our city, is what she's doing.
Defending the ring and defending El Paso. I love it.
That. Thank you. I appreciate that.
How, of all things, did you decide as a career that you wanted to get into law enforcement?
So I graduated from UTEP in 2013, and I was going to do physical therapy. But I had my son. I got married the year before I had my son, and I needed a real job because life is real. I was poor. So I looked online, and I saw that the EPPD was hiring. So I was like, you know what? I've always been attracted to law enforcement. My dad raised me tough. I could do it. So why not? So I applied, and I got accepted, and I'm so glad I did because in law enforcement, it's never boring. It's always something new every single day, and it definitely fits my personality for sure.
So 10 years in law enforcement is what you've been doing.
Yes.
Are you mostly like on the streets? What is your specialty?
So when I graduated from the academy, I started off patrol. So I was in patrol for about 3 years. But currently, right now, I'm at the training academy. So my job is to train the recruits. So the El Paso Police Department recruits on Scenic Drive.
I can totally see that with you because you've been involved in training your entire life.
Yes, and fortunately, I get to do the things that I grew up doing. So I get to teach defensive tactics. So I get to help with the boxing conditioning program that we have at the academy. So for me, it's very fitting, and I'm very, very fortunate.
It sounds amazing. It sounds like it is the perfect job for you to do when you're not training for a fight.
Yes, I'm very happy, and then. Just seeing the recruits and growing with them and making an impact. Yeah, I truly do love my job.
Excellent. And then you have time for your family as well on the side. So it's perfect. And you said you have 2 kids.
Yes.
And that's fun. But you also have a professional career that because of your law enforcement work, you started late. You didn't really go into professional fighting at a young age, or did you come back to it? How did it work?
So I quit boxing when I was 21. Or 20, around that age. My dad was very mad. My family was very pissed because I could have made the Olympics. But I fell in love, got married, had my kids, and I took a 10-year break. And Jennifer, she was getting ready for Katie Taylor, the fight against Katie Taylor. So I helped her during COVID and realized I still had my skills. So I decided now or never, and I came back to boxing.
That's amazing. So it was the actual training for the Katie Taylor fight.
Yes.
That brought you back to boxing, and you realized, wait a minute, I can still do this. Was it you deciding that, or was it your sister who told you, you know what, Stephanie, you might really want to start thinking about getting back into boxing?
My family, through the whole time I was taking a break, they're like, you want to come back? Because they would see all the girls that are on TV, and they're like, or the girls that I fought in the amateurs and I beat, and they're like, you could do it. But I was like, no, I'm not ready yet. But when I was training with Jennifer and Louis Burke, which is now my coach, Jennifer Hahn's coach, he was like, yeah, they all saw something in me. So I was like, you know what, Jenny, AB, Louis, my dad. So without their support, I don't think I would have done it, but they gave me the confidence to come back to the ring.
That's a great story.
Yes.
So if you think about it, the Olympics, you're right. It would have been amazing fighting boxing for the Olympics, but here you are now, you're in your early 30s, you're maybe more seasoned, you've been around and in and out of the ring, so it gives you a different perspective.
Yes.
Versus if you were, had been doing this over the last 10 years.
Yes. I felt like growing up doing it, it was forced upon because my dad, he forced it on us, and I felt burnt out. But now I'm doing it because I truly love it, and I feel like I'm a better person all around. Being a mother has changed me. Being a police officer has changed me, and it's only made me better. It's only benefited me better. So I think all around it's made me a better fighter. And I definitely am stronger mentally, so that makes a big difference as a competitor.
Now, you just said something really interesting. You said your dad forced you and it burnt you out. And I feel like in sports these days, it happens a lot.
Yes.
Where if parents are, I don't want to say, there's one thing to encourage sports, but if you force your son or daughter to play something and after a while they can get burnt out. Especially depending on how much time they devote to that particular activity. Burnout is common. So
Yes.
I'm not surprised to hear that, but I also know from your family and your dad how much pride he takes in not just his academy, but obviously the family following in just their potential. So I'm sure it was tough, but it was one of those decisions at the time you had to make, and now you're better for it, having a chance to come back all these years later.
Yes. Again, yeah, I think all of us, all the Han kids, have felt burnt out. We started martial arts when we were young. I started at 3, and I started competing at 5, so it was nonstop until I stopped at 20. But I'm glad, and I have more of appreciation taking that long break towards my dad and being a parent and understanding everything he did was because he loved us, not because he was a jerk. No, he did it because he saw the potential and he saw that we could be successful in it. So, but it is what it is. I took a break. I'm back now, and I see that there's still a bright future, and I'm able to hopefully be a world champion one day. So we'll see.
Stephanie, one of the nice things also about you is you haven't taken the amount of physical pounding because you haven't fought in a decade or like almost 10 years. So your body is probably much better off, and you're stronger, you're healthier, and you haven't had a chance to get beaten down like so many other fighters would be by the time they reach their early 30s.
I totally agree. I know some fighters that I grew up with in boxing, and I see them now, and they're not the same. And it does break my heart. But I feel I'm more in shape now than I was at 20 years old. I was a great athlete back then, but now with, again, mentality and eating healthy, I feel like I'm better and stronger than I was when I was younger.
And as far as your boxing skills go, you're a different fighter than your sister.
Yes.
Let's talk about really what you bring in terms of your skill set in the ring.
So from me and Jennifer, I'm definitely bigger than her, and I'm stronger and faster. Jenny's a lot more technical than me, but I feel everyone says it that I'm a lot stronger than her and a lot faster than her. So those are my aspects, good qualities that I have.
Stephanie, I'm back here. I just want to ask you, what made you fall back in love with combat sport? Or is there like a moment in you kind of coming back to it that you thought, wow, this is why I came back. This is why I love this sport?
When I quit, I kind of always had that regret of I could have been great. I could have been successful. Some of the people that I fought in the amateurs, like Michaela Mir, I beat her. Tiara Brown, she was a world champion. So it was always like, oh, I could have been great. So when I came back, when I sparred Jennifer and decided, yeah, I'm gonna actually try. It's either now or never. I'm not gonna live life with regrets. I was doing it for me this time, not for my dad, not for my family, but because of me. So that's when I realized a couple of years ago, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and we'll see how far it goes because I want to do it.
Was there a moment that really stood out to you that you maybe left a training session, maybe left a fight or a sparring that you were like, okay, I'm totally back in it?
It would be when I was training with Jennifer. And I'm like, oh, wow, Jennifer is a world champion, and I'm keeping up with her, and I can handle her, and I'm making her sparring difficult because she's sparring me, probably her hardest sparring partner. So why not? Why not do this?
I love it. More with Stephanie as we keep things moving here on Sports Talk. But first, let's go to Adrian. Bottom of the hour, he's got a Sports Center update for us. Adrian, thank you very much. Stephanie Hahn will be fighting Nicola Ivoza and the main event on Friday night for Ring Wars 9, which, by the way, will also feature female fighters like Amy Salinas, Bree Howling. It also has Danielle Perkins and Brittany Sims. So let's talk about that. We have 5 female fighters of the 9 boxing matches on the card. How great is that to see that you are now with a group in Marshall Kaufman and King's Promotions that is so devoted to female boxing that he has more females on Friday's fight card than males?
I think it's great. From boxing has grown, especially in women's boxing, since I started my amateur days, and now it's amazing. It's very popular. It's growing, so I'm really glad to come back at a time where it's very popular. But all the girls on the card, very, very accomplished. A lot of them were multinational champions as amateurs. Amy Salinas, she's a firecracker. She's freaking awesome from Las Cruces. Brittany Sims, she's the number 1 contender according to WBA. Very, very competitive. Bree Howling, I've met her. She's from Canada. Very strong. So they're all exciting fights. This is going to be awesome for El Paso to witness these very talented female fighters.
Meanwhile, you've got Jorge Tovar back in the ring. That's going to be a big one. Victor Aranda, who I thought was sensational in the last bout.
Yes, he was.
When he fought back in November, a spectacular knockout. He's on the card. This is all about professional fighters from the local area for El Paso. And
Do you know that Victor Aranda was a Olympic alternate?
I do. And Victor, sadly enough, Victor's story was really COVID. I mean, he was ready to go into the Olympics potentially, and COVID kind of sidetracked everything because of what happened, back 4 years ago. And, who knows? But he's got so much talent.
So much.
There's a ton of really, really good boxers here locally, isn't there?
Yes, there is. And I'm glad that we get to showcase our talents here in El Paso. So hopefully everyone comes out to El Paso to support us.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially knowing the venue. I've seen so many great shows at the Coliseum over the years. It's perfect for boxing, perfect for this kind of a card.
Yes.
And not only that, one thing I've noticed about really King's Promotions, they want to grow it. They want this to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the more people that come out and support, the better the future looks to getting bigger shows and letting you appear on, who knows what could happen down the road.
Yes. So I'm glad that we have King's Promotion coming here. He's Marshall Kaufman's awesome. And whatever he says, actually, he lives up to his word. So hopefully he keeps ringing shows and hopefully he takes it to the next level here in El Paso.
What can you tell us about Nicola, your opponent, here Friday night?
So there's not that much information on her online. She's from Slovakia. She's young. I believe she's 20 years old. And she's a southpaw. That's all I know about her.
Is this the first southpaw you will have a chance to fight
This
professionally?
is the first time I'm fighting a southpaw. So I've been training a lot of southpaw.
Yeah.
A lot of southpaw techniques and tactics.
How is sparring for you locally? How, in terms of the quality of boxers that you can get into the ring with just to prepare and train for these fights?
So for me, sparring, I don't depend on women because it's really hard for me to fight female sparring unless it's my sister Jenny. But I've been sparring a lot of people, a lot of young guys at Las Cruces PAL, and they've been so helpful, very helpful. So I'm very grateful that I have a sparring partner because those sparring partners, because they're not intending to, take my head off, they really work with me. So I'm very blessed.
Does Jennifer ever get back into the ring these days? I know she's kind of retired and focusing on being a mom, but can you talk her into getting into the ring just to give you a good workout?
Yes, she does still help me. She still helps me.
Excellent.
Yes. Currently, right now, she's injured, but she was helping me a month ago. But she does what she can, and she still watches me spar, and she still gives me critique and criticism. So she's still there.
So she's the big sister that she's always been
yes,
for you.
She's there, supporting me every step of the way.
Okay, that's good. We're going to give away tickets today, so somebody's going to get an opportunity to go to the Coliseum and watch Stephanie in the ring. For you, if everything goes well, how many times do you want to fight this year? What would be the goal for you?
As many as possible. So I'm currently scheduled to fight next month in Pennsylvania. So again, I started late. I want to take advantage of me being in shape and me going up in the rankings. So as many opportunities as I can, I wouldn't mind fighting 4 or 5 times a year this year. That'd be great.
Do you almost feel like, even though you haven't had a chance to fight the best yet in the world, that you're starting to enter your prime just because of your age, your experience, the fact that you don't have a lot of mileage on you like so many fighters? Do you feel like, okay, these next few years, these are my prime years, and this is really when I want to try to accomplish all of it?
No, I know that I'm improving each and every day in the ring. I started boxing again 3 years ago, and I could see so much improvement that I had since I had my first pro fight 3 years ago. I'm improving, and I'm only getting better.
One thing I remember, though, about watching Jennifer, she had a hard time getting fights for so many years.
Yes.
Nobody wanted to fight her, and that was a problem because female boxing has had its ups and downs over the years, and now it seems like it's back on an upswing. There's a lot of female fighters professionally out there, and suddenly getting opponents to come and fight and challenge, it's not as difficult now as maybe it was 5-10 years ago when she was really trying to come up the ranks.
It's still difficult. Still difficult, especially for me, since when they look me up, I'm associated with Jennifer Hahn, who's a former world champion. I'm associated with Abraham Hahn, who is a world contender. So it is very difficult, and that's why I'm fighting a girl from Slovakia. So they're just trying to get me fights.
Have you thought of changing your last name just for the purpose of boxing so nobody can do their homework on you and you can that way they'll come and they'll take fights against you? Have we thought of that?
I love my last name. It's part of me. I am married, so I might hyphenate my last name and make my husband happy. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll see.
Listen, how many years have you been married?
I've been married for 10 years.
If you haven't done it yet, forget it. You don't need to do that. You can just forget that idea. I just had to bring it up because I've been thinking to myself, well, if maybe putting together a different last name will help you get fights, then, got to do what you got to do. But you're right. You want to win with your last name.
I love my name.
There's a lot of pride with the Han family name and what it's all about. So
Yes.
I don't think I would change it. But I do hope you get fights because ultimately that's the name of the game here is
Yes.
you getting as much experience as possible. And it's a shame that in 2024, with as much, as many female fighters as we have, it's still so difficult for you to try to get good challenges.
Exactly. Well, hopefully I keep going up in the rankings where, I'm offered one of those world title opportunities. So we'll see. Keep going up, keep winning, and improving my record.
And if you had to give a message out for people that are listening right now and are ultimately, they want to go watch you and everybody fight on Friday night, what would you tell them?
Please, El Paso, Las Cruces, come out to El Paso County Coliseum this Friday, March 1st. Fights start at 7 o'clock. I think doors open at 6:30. You're not going to want to miss all the good fights. A lot of great female fights, great heavyweight fight, great local fighters like George Tovar and Victor Aranda. They're going to be great, so please don't miss out. Tickets are very affordable. They only start off at $30.
Yeah, I think actually 25 I saw. So 25
Yes.
for this. So it's not bad. And not only that, the whole point is we want this to continue. That's the most important thing is they want the promoters want to establish El Paso and bring 3 to 4 fights a year to this city and continue to grow it. And the only way to do that is to have strong attendance and fans to come and realize. And I was there back in November, and I saw the crowd on a Friday night competing against high school football. They were loud, they were into it, but high school football was last year. This time around, there is nothing competing with Friday night at the Coliseum. It is the perfect opportunity to come and watch you and all these great local fighters in the ring.
Yes, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Please come out. We want to have a lot of people in attending so King's promotion could come out and do good for El Paso. This is good for bringing boxing to El Paso.
You said you're bigger and stronger than your sister. Are you going for a knockout Friday? Is that the goal? Or for you, since you're going up against a southpaw for the first time in the ring, you're not really worried about a knockout. You just want to look impressive, win the fight, and just keep your record intact as you keep going up the ladder.
For me, my family, we never say we want to look for the knockout because that's when we get reckless and that's when we get caught. But I'm strong enough, and if I see the knockout, then I'm definitely taking advantage of that, for sure.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Great to see you. Thanks for dropping in, and we'll see you Friday night. Looking forward to it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
You got it. She's Stephanie Hahn, folks, joins us here on Sports Talk as we continue. 20 in front of 5, back with more, and yes, we'll give away those tickets. Adrian, let's just give it away right now. What do you think? What caller should win those boxing tickets here for Friday night?
Let's ask her. What's your lucky number, Stephanie?
Yeah, lucky number, Stephanie. And be honest, whatever, 1 to 100, what's your lucky number?
3.
Oh, it's such a
Man, caller number 3.
Here, I was thinking she was going to go caller 75 or something like that, but no, we're going caller 3. All right, simply enough. Caller 3 wins them, 505-6009. You're going to Ring Wars 9 this Friday out at the Coliseum. Start of hour number 2 here on Sports Talk. Welcome back, everybody. Want to remind you, 600ESPNElPaso.com is your home for dining deals, along with great articles that are written on a daily basis from everybody. And, hey, dining deals this week is going to be focusing on crawdaddies. That's right. We're going to give you the opportunity to enjoy, simply put, the best Cajun seafood in El Paso, just like that. Blackened catfish. They also have shrimp. They've got crawfish. They've got everything. And you also have jambalaya, red beans and rice. Hey, for 15 years, Crawdaddy's has been serving it up 212 Cincinnati Avenue. Yesterday, Adrian gave you that great testimonial about how he lived at Crawdaddy's during his days working at UTEP and living, going to college at UTEP. And now you can enjoy $50 there, Adrian, for just $25.
I feel like I could feast for that at Crawdaddy's, Steve. I mean, it's not like they have crazy menu prices. They're pretty affordable all across the board, and it's delicious food. Like, it's such great stuff, and I can't wait, for this one to go on sale Friday.
Did you have a go-to when you were at Crawdaddy's?
Yeah.
Like your regular that you had to have? What was it?
It was lemon pepper wings. It sounds simple, but it was that, and then the fries are like fantastic. So I would always go fries too. But you would say, well, why are you doing this at a place that serves Cajun food? Won't you go a little seafood, something like that? Yeah, I would. But that was my go-to. I just loved their wings and fries.
Man, did the fries just have like a certain seasoning that you loved?
They did. You know what? I'm going to have to actually purchase this one from Dining Deals because I haven't been to Crawdaddy's in a while, and I really want to go back.
That's fantastic. Again, Friday, 10 a.m., $50 to Crawdaddy's, folks, for just $25, and it's available on Dining Deals at 600 ESPNElPaso.com. We got a special guest coming in a moment. We've got also Cade McConnell here with us right now for the next couple of hours, hoping to land a big NIL deal just like his buddy Jackson Dart did at Ole Miss. Did you get an opportunity, Adrian, to see the NIL deal that Dart landed?
Is this the Jet?
Yes,
This is the Jet.
Oh my goodness.
I love the Jet. It looked great. It looked fresh. We actually have a mutual friend who is might buy a Jet here soon enough.
Okay, well, for anyone who doesn't know exactly what Jackson Dart's NIL deal was, it was released that with Nicholas Ayer he partnered with for a evaluation of about $1.4 million, which I don't think that's a paid $1.4 million. That's estimated in what, the value.
Almost like a trade out.
Yeah, the value of the NIL deal. But basically, with the fleet of jets that Nicholas Ayer owns, Jackson Dart can use them for travel, for philanthropy, or for training. And I mean, that just blows my mind. I actually train with the same coaches and at the same facility that he does back home in California. And like being able to have a private jet to go home and train for the weekend, I mean, that's just like a whole different stratosphere of thinking that like I couldn't even comprehend. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go home this weekend. Yeah. I want to go train. Let's just hop on a plane Saturday, come back on Sunday. It's all good. I mean, it's wild to me.
So what you're telling me is that you believe Jackson Dart has what could be the greatest NIL deal ever. Because like I've seen one that was like Rolls Royce, right? Wasn't there a player that just didn't he get a Rolls Royce NIL, or was it a Rolls Royce or a Ferrari? Adrian, who am I thinking of?
I'm not too sure. I'm doing a quick check on this.
I thought it was a player who actually landed a deal with a Rolls Royce dealership. And maybe I'm wrong on that one, but I mean, if you had a choice, okay, let's just put it this way.
All right. I got you. DJ Wagner pulled up to the McDonald's game in a Rolls Royce.
Okay, so there you go. So DJ Wagner has an NIL deal with a Rolls. So if you could pick the greatest NIL deal that you could ever land, forget money, just what you would consider the greatest NIL deal ever, what would that be?
I feel like it would honestly have to be the jet, regardless, like not talking about money, because obviously, like if you just had infinite money, that would be different.
Yeah,
but,
sure. If somebody just we're going to pay you, for the rest of eternity, you're like, okay, thank you. I'll take that.
Exactly. Yeah. But as far as like things that are not just specifically, financial, right? I would think the jet would be number one because, I mean, that is a capability and an advantage to go different places and do things and travel, go train. I mean, it makes the United States shrink really, really fast.
It does.
And not to mention you get to ride on a private jet, which is pretty fun.
I would think that would be the greatest, right? I mean, that sounds like it would be a blast. So your ultimate NIL is a PJ. That is just the one thing that you say that has got to be the coolest NIL ever.
Yeah, I think that has to be. I think I would take that over a car any day of the week.
All right. Judah Zinwa's here, your teammate, tight end for UTEP, and I'm going to ask what he thinks his NIL, the ultimate NIL deal for him would be. First off, Judah, welcome to the program. It's good to see you, and thanks for dropping in and spending time with us today. How you doing?
I'm doing good today. How are you doing?
Hey, we're doing great, thank you. All right, so you just heard Cade say that a private jet, just like his buddy Jackson Dart was able to get at Ole Miss, would be the greatest NIL deal that he could see. Now, for you, based on your lifestyle and everything that you do. You tell me. Let's just say you could land the best NIL deal of all time. Would it be money? Would it be a jet? Would it be a car? Is it something that we're not even thinking about? What do you believe would be, for you, the greatest NIL deal that you could have while you're at UTEP?
I think the greatest NIL deal. Honestly, I already have a car. It gets me from the point A to point B. Don't need that.
So car's out. All right,
so I'm from California, just like Cade. So honestly, I think I'm gonna have to go with the private jet. It would be so convenient to have that, being able to just go home, see the family when you need to, go back and go home and see your trainers. I think trainers probably the biggest thing because sometimes you need a little bit of guidance when you're out here, and it's not the easiest to do it over the phone. So I'm going with the private jet for sure.
Okay. By the way, how far apart are the two of you in California? Are you guys close to each other, or are you guys a little bit away?
So Cade's from LA. You're like from LA.
I'm Long Beach.
He's Long Beach. I'm from Fontana, California. So I would say that's about like an hour and 15 minutes without traffic. With traffic, you're looking at like
a little farther, a little longer.
So
hour 45.
So here's what I'm thinking, okay? So when Cade gets that NIL deal, right, and he's like, hey, come on here, Judah, jump in the PJ with me. We're going to go together back to California. Would he be able, would you guys be able to go to the same, airport and then you're good to go, or does he have to drop you off someplace closer? I'm just curious, based on traffic, how that would work. What do you think?
I would say it just depends on the time of day, but honestly,
oh, that's crazy. See, that's a crazy comment right there, Steve. If somehow me and you were flying home on a private jet, I don't care what airport we go to. I mean, you're just taking it there, and then we'll make do with whatever it is after that.
That's fine. So as long as you get the private jet to get to Southern California, you're good. After that, it's all gravy.
100%. We got to make it work at that point. See, that's now I'm going into fantasy land, Steve.
Yes.
I'm starting to think about it, and I'm like, oh my God. I mean, with all the guys live back in California, hop on the jet, go back home, see the family for a night, train a little bit, get some work. Boom, we're back here. Successful weekend.
It does seem like the ultimate NIL deal. It really does.
It's like living in a completely different world.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Have you flown in a private jet before?
No.
Okay. Judah, have you flown in a private jet
sir.
before? No. Okay. So part of it is also the fact that, you've seen them, but you've never been in one in the air. So for you guys, and let's be honest, most people have never and will never fly in a private jet in their lifetime. That is something that very few people can say they've had a chance to enjoy, correct?
And you're not one of those people.
Flex on them.
Yeah, let them know, Steve.
Listen.
Let them know.
Listen, I have been fortunate to fly in a private jet. I have. Doesn't matter how many times, but I've been in one. And yes, truthfully, in terms of what the plane entails and convenience, it's unbelievable. I mean, just the fact that you don't have to wait in a line to board, you don't have to worry about anything. You just get on the plane, it takes off, it lands, and you don't have to worry. That right there is, from a convenience, there is nothing better than that. It's true. I can understand about that. I can understand.
Look, I'm going to jump in, guys, because I think that there's actually if you guys are the only players on the team with the PJ, can you imagine all the requests you're going to get, all the different the looks that you're going to get in the locker room? Ooh, I see Cade slipping in play. I should be the one with the PJ. This is all locker room talk. Why not get a deal with like a Southwest Airlines or a Delta Airlines, and then it's like unlimited flights?
That's true too. Then you fly commercial, but just imagine if Southwest gave you an NIL deal, how cool that would be.
Oh, that would be awesome, especially because Southwest flies to Long Beach, which is 5-6 minutes from where I live, and it would be the most convenient thing ever. But here's my comment to that, Adrian. I completely agree with you in the sense of sometimes guys having too high of discrepancies in NIL compared to the rest of the team can cause issues. But as flashy as a private jet is, right, you still can show up to the facility and do your work without looking entirely different. You know what I mean? Whereas if you pull up to the facility in a Rolls Royce, I feel like that has a little bit different of a stigma than being outside of the facility saying I have travel capabilities elsewhere. Can we agree on that?
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, if we're talking Shador at Colorado, who's rolling up in a G-Wagon, and he's all his other players are maybe not even pulling up to campus in a car, then, yeah, that's definitely – there's a huge gap right there. But the work ethic on the field, that's something I'll always appreciate.
I can tell you one thing. Someone who probably wouldn't care about the flash and would just own it and continue to go is this guy right here. 100%. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Honestly, I wouldn't care what anybody thinks. I'm rolling up with the Rolls Royce.
Okay, so there it is. The Rolls, if you had the chance, that's it. Now, would you? No, here's another question. Okay, how many years you been in the UTEP program?
So I've been here for exactly 1 year.
Okay, that means that you're on the trip to FIU.
Yes, sir.
You saw the vehicles that were there for Vice Night when they were doing Miami Vice Night.
Well, let me cut you off there because after our Arizona game, I had made the decision to redshirt. But I saw it. I saw what vehicles they had there.
Okay, so so you made the decision. When you made the decision to redshirt, when you redshirt, you don't travel, correct? You pretty much stay back.
Well, I mean, they still traveled me for some odd reason for like an additional 2 games, and then I had to like make a talk with our old head coach, and then after that, they cut it off.
Okay, so you had you not said anything, you could have been on that FIU trip.
Yes, sir. I could have.
All right. By the way, that was Cade's coming out game. That was the Cade McConnell. That first quarter will probably be one of the greatest moments of his life. I agree with that.
I was watching that on TV and I was just thinking, oh my goodness. Like we were in the house, we were screaming, all of us guys that were back home.
I love that.
And I'm just like, oh my goodness. I'm like Cade McConnell, the same guy from Cerritos College.
That's right.
Like some people don't know about the Cerritos Cade and Los Alamitos. Los Alamitos Cade and Cerritos Cade that was a bad man.
What's
right there.
different?
I would say there's not really a difference because it's still the same guy, but I feel like when he finally got his opportunity to shine, he took it and ran with it and didn't look back. You know what I'm saying? And he was one of my my buddy's quarterback, and I was honestly going to make the move to go to Los Alamitos with his name was DeMario King. I wanted to go there. And then I was thinking in my head, like when I was watching his highlights, I'm like, damn, who's throwing you the ball? And then later to find out, I'm like, oh, that was Cade McConnell. And I'm like, okay. And then I kind of figured out who he was as I got here. And then I was backtracking because he told me, oh, I went to Cerritos College. And then he was like, oh, do you know who this is? And I was like, so that is you.
So you knew all about him, and then you finally got a chance to meet him here at UTEP.
Yes, sir.
I like that.
We talked about this for a while, and there was a really good chance that Judah and I could have been high school teammates, and then potentially into that junior college teammates. You never know what would have happened after that or whatever, but, I mean, that would have been pretty cool if we got to be teammates. I wish that would have happened. That would have been a lot of fun.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but think about it. Now you're teammates at a D1 school here at UTEP. That's even that's even better, right?
It is. Everything happens for a reason, right? The plan worked out the way it did, and me and Judah are going to have some quarters together like we did at FIU last season. There's going to be some of those this year between us. So I'd rather have us here at UTEP together, but it's fun thinking about what could have happened at Los Al too.
And it's not Texas high school football, so it doesn't really matter that much.
Are we going to start that debate right now?
That's what I'm saying.
He's ready to fire that off. Texas versus California. Oh, man. Do we have enough time in the show for that today? Do we have enough time?
You're going to need to go till 10 o'clock if we start that.
I feel like that'd be the case. All right, more with Judah, more with Cade, more sports talk as we continue. But first, here's Charlie 1 with traffic. All right, 22 past the hour. We're back right now with everybody here. My God, Judah Zenwa's here. We've got Cade here. We've got Alberto in the house as well. By the way, Judah, since we're getting a chance to talk to you for the first time, how excited are you knowing that College Football 25 from EA Sports is right around the corner?
Man, I'm so excited about that. I feel like every kid has a dream of, being in a video game, and knowing that we have the opportunity to actually be in a video game is just like exciting. Like not a lot of people can say that, hey, I'm in this game right here. And
that's right.
Now, since with the new NIL rules, like they can actually put your name in it, and that's you.
So you're opting in. You're telling me you're taking that money in that video game. It's not even a question.
Hands down.
All right. Here's the tough part. Because you redshirted last season and you really haven't had the chance to establish yourself yet. You know that although you'll be in the game, Your grade is not going to be what it could be if you were to, let's say, catch for 500-600 yards, 5 touchdowns and that kind of thing. So, here's my question: Cade last year started half the games.
Mm-hmm.
He shined on multiple occasions. What do you think his grade is going to be when the game comes out? What do you feel EA will put on Cade as a QB?
You could be honest with this too. We did a Twitter poll, so you're not going to hurt my feelings.
No, I know. All right, so look, here's what I'm going to factor in.
Mm-hmm.
Just from me seeing the last game they made, which was at NCAA 14.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
And seeing what UTEP's rating was compared to the other Power 5 schools.
Do you remember that?
Because I don't. The only reason why I remember is because our last tight end coach, he had us over and we were all playing NCAA 14. So I had the opportunity to see it.
Okay.
And I think UTEP was like a 70, like no higher than a 75.
Yeah.
So I'm already knowing that since we're a group of 5, and as of right now, we are not at the top of the list. But mark my words, we will be after the season. So I'm already knowing that they're going to put him lower than what we know what he can do. So let's say like 68, highest like 71, because the team's overall rating is going to be in the 70s.
Now listen to this. We take this Twitter poll, right? We do this on X and Twitter. The range, we did 5 like plus or minus 5 for all the different four options. We did higher than 75, lower than I think 60. And then we did 65 to 69 and then 70 to 74. The one range that won out was 65 to 69. Mm-hmm. So you just picked 68. That went right in the sweet spot of what received the largest number of votes from our listeners. So you hit it. You hit it right on the head. And you said highest possibly 71. Well, the second group was 70 to 74. And then I think it was higher than 75 had like 15%, lower than 65 had like 10%. So for the most part, most people believe that 65 to 75 range is going to be the sweet spot where Cade goes.
Yes, sir.
All right.
What Judah's not telling you though is like this is a very accurate representation because he is an avid like football video game player. We're not gonna talk about how avid you are, but we will say that like he plays Madden like very seriously. So
he's a gamer.
We game all the time together.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
but like him, I'm more of like the shooting game kind of guy. Like I will admittedly say like I don't play Madden very much, but this guy right here, I can't tell you how excited he probably is for this game to come out because he is a extremely skilled Madden player.
Now listen to this, guys. We already know that the 2025 game is set because it's coming out this summer. Right, so it's done. All the games have been. I mean, there might be updates, but for the most part, the graphics are done. Everything's done.
Right.
How great would it be if for college football 26, if you play as UTEP, if you win a game, your head coach takes off his shirt and he is body painted with the logo, and on the back it just says "Win the West," and you've got a graphic of Scotty Walden where he is body painted after a victory in celebration with the team. How amazing would that be?
That would be actually very cool that they even took notice of that. When I remember seeing that, I had gotten a text. They were like, "Your coach." I'm like, "What'd he do?" They said, "He's blue." I'm like, "How do you mean he's blue?" I get a video sent to me on Snapchat, and it's him just going wild in the stands, running around, and I'm thinking, no way he has a shirt off. I get a closer look, the man's shirt's off, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, I can't even be like, I'm not even surprised because this is him 25-8 all the time. Like, I was thinking maybe it's just the front, like he can turn this off. He's always like this. He's always electric every day.
Now, you just said something interesting, okay? Most people will say he's like that 24/7. You said 25-8. So we're talking 25 hours a day, 8 days a week.
Man. Exactly what I said.
We're adding an hour and a day to this guy.
Exceeding.
But the truth is, what you see is what you get.
Really.
And you tell me. Have you ever been around anyone in the game like him with the energy and what he brings to the table?
I'm trying to think back, and as I can think as of right now, nobody matches up to him. Like not even close. Like it's actually pretty insane.
No, every coach has like their own flavor and their own sauce and spin that they do what they do good, and that's how they've gotten to become a Division I college head coach, and any coach for that matter, high school, junior college, doesn't matter. But as far as energy goes and being borderline nuts, it's Coach Walden's it's Coach Walden's trophy.
Yes, sir. I now that I think about it, all of my head coaches have been they're pretty chill ones. I would say like maybe like the receiver coach, the linebacker. Like someone else is filling that shoe, and just to see it as the head coach filling in those shoes and still being the head man it just blows my mind.
Judah, I'm just going to be honest. I was very disappointed this past season of your I guess, kind of factor in games just because there weren't a lot of opportunities for you to be in there. And I felt like there was a void for what your position requires, but it felt like you just weren't given the opportunities. And I went to practice, so I saw you out there and active and stuff like that before you elected to redshirt this season. So what happened?
So what happened in the season, going into fall camp, I would say I didn't have the spring ball that I wanted to have, and I'm just being flat out honest. I didn't have the spring ball I wanted to have, and I knew like fall camp I had to bounce back, and I had something to prove right then and there. And so we're going in, I think it was maybe practice 5-6. I'll take full accountability. I wasn't taking care of my patellar tendonitis, and usually what happens with that, I think they said that your quads get super tight, and I just kept going and going and going, and then it got so bad to the point where I had strained my quad, and I had never strained my quad before. So then I was thinking maybe, week and a half, 2 weeks, I'm going to be good. Try to run again the following week. Wasn't going. Tried again a week after that, and I just felt like everything I did would not get it right. So then I'm literally in a mad scramble. I think it was week 0 versus Jacksonville State. I had flew to Nashville, Tennessee to go get some treatment, and I came back, and I was actually finally able to run. And so I kind of knew coming in that game I wasn't going to be getting the most reps because I just missed all of fall camp, and I came back 2 days before the first game. So I knew that. So going into our second game versus Incarnate Word,
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Incarnate Word.
I was feeling great. I'm like, okay, you know what? I didn't practice the following week, the prior week, so I'm knowing I practiced full this whole week. Like I should be good to go. So we usually get a packet, and it lets you know in the beginning of the packet. It lets you know what formations you're in. And I'm seeing my name in a bunch of personnels and formations. I'm like, oh yeah, like this is the week. Like this is the week that I make a name for myself. Then I think the game finally came, and we didn't run as many like any of those formations, and I was upset. But I mean, we got the win, so you can't be upset. So I'm like, okay, let's go. We go to Northwestern, same thing. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. And I would say I played maybe 8 to 10 snaps that game, I would say. And I would say majority of them were jumbo personnel trying to get the first down or something like that where we were pushing Gavin Hardison. So then we're coming into this fourth game, and I knew, like, I was kind of talking about it with my family back home. I knew if this is not the week where I'm getting a lot of reps, I might just redshirt and save this year for myself, because at the end of the day, I know everybody's end goal is to get to the NFL, hands down. But for that to happen, you have to be productive. Mm-hmm. And I was not productive after 3 games. So going into week 4, or week 3, technically week 3 versus Arizona, I had played a little bit. Then I think I got my first target, and then I got we were already down, so they just go in. So then after that game, I called my mom and like, yeah, this is it. I'm redshirting. I'm saving my year, and just I'm gonna get better. So then after that, I just started giving the starting defense a look, and then I was just doing my thing, having fun out there, just trying to be the best teammate I could after that.
All right, I want to follow up with this in a second, but we've got Judah here with us right now. It's the bottom of the hour, 33 past, and your story is really interesting, and I've got questions. So we'll come back. We'll do more of this, but first, let's go to Adrian and get this Sports Center update. Thank you very much. Judah Zenwa went to Fontana, California, about an hour and 30 minutes away from Cade McConnell, and he joins us here on Sports Talk as we talk to UTEP's tight end. So you're telling the story about last season, and you decide to redshirt. At that point, when you redshirted, were you still thinking, I'm going to stay on this roster after this season, and I'm going to make a name for myself? Or were you already thinking that if everybody comes back, I might look to transfer out and just try another spot to establish myself? When you redshirt that early in the season voluntarily because you're not being used, what is your thought process for the future?
So here's my thought process. I was looking at if, say, that everybody was retained and everybody stayed, I was thinking this is not the best fit for me due to the fact of we ran the ball a lot, and with the skill set that I have, like, I can stretch the field vertical, like no doubts about it. Like, you put a corner, safety, linebacker in front of me, chances are I'm burning them. It doesn't matter. So I knew I could do so much more, and I knew, like, if the staff stayed, I was probably thinking about transferring. But, however, if the staff were to leave, which had happened, I was like, then why not just give it a try? You know, like, there's no point. First, my thought process is I don't have any film. I only have practice tape. So, you know, you either got to, like, the previous offers that I had to come in and say they want to pick me up if I hit the portal, or I can just, you know, stick it out and see what this new staff has to offer. And that's what I did.
Well, and by the way, you're 6'3", 240 pounds. So, and you're fast, and that's huge because you're a big target, and you know you have the opportunity to, even though you play tight end, affect the game as a receiver. Then you find out that UTEP hires a coach who runs a play every 12 seconds, wants to get up and down the field as fast as humanly possible, and really is all about throwing the ball. They have a big time runner at Austin Peay, but they throw the ball a lot. So all of a sudden, the offense seems much more appealing for you than maybe it had over the last year since you've been here.
I'm thinking, oh, goodness, I'm staying here. As soon as I heard that, I was like, I want to stay. But the only thing I thought about was play every 12 seconds. Got to get the cardio right for sure. Like, because we've been out there running plays. Yesterday, I had my first opportunity. They wanted me to just go outside and go play X. And I was doing that. And after, like, the third play, because I think I had ran a go, then I ran like a deep hook, and I'm just like, oh goodness, like this is gonna be tougher than I thought. But you know what? You just put the work in, and honestly, by the time season comes, I will be ready.
Well, speaking of that too, right? Like one of the things me and you have talked about in extension, because you know we've done a lot of work off the field together. Even as soon as season ended, me and you were throwing after on the practice field, and we've continued to do that. But like one of the things we've talked about is like after your first season of being here, and then after my first season going into this past season, like you get a very new perspective on what Division I college football is and what it takes in order to even be a guy that gets on the field. You know what I mean? Judah, I know everyone knows in the building that Judah has the talent to go play and be an amazing player that sets himself apart from the rest of the competition. No one's questioning that. But me and you have had talks like it takes everything in this sport at this level in order to be successful. It doesn't matter how talented you are. Right. And so that's one of the things that we've really been working on ever since this past season ended, was just going on and getting those extra work and trying to take advantage of as many moments as we possibly can outside of the confines of actual practice time in order to try to get ahead. And I think that's one of the things that's going to set you apart from other people on the team, other people in the conference and in the country are doing those types of things. That way you can make yourself a weapon.
Right.
You want to elaborate on that? He set you up perfectly. That is, by the way, this is what he does during the internship. He is now assuming the roles of like a host because he gave you the greatest setup ever, and you responded with right. So what you need to do is say, you know what, Cade, you couldn't have put it any better, and here's why. And then you just take the ball, like he's throwing you a slow pitch softball, or in the case of kickball last Friday, he's rolling the kickball right up to the plate for you to just kick that thing 400 feet in the air over the wall for the home run, and then you can finish it for him. So go ahead and take that lead from your QB and finish that for him like I know you can.
Okay. So first time on the show. So
I understand.
You know.
That's why we're here, Judah. We already expect you to be a seasoned vet who's been doing this for his whole life, and you could just take care of it. But go ahead.
Okay, so to elaborate on what Cade's saying, but yeah, we would have. I would say like as soon as this. So to start it off, anytime I'd make a play in practice on the scout team, Cade would just come up to me, and instead of being excited for me, he'd be like, "I'm mad at you."
I was so mad every time he made.
I'm mad
play.
at you.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm like, why? Because you could have been doing this for us, but now you're shirted. So then, as I knew as soon as the season was over, like I'm texting Cade because I know we're both from the same city or from the same state, and he's not too far. It's not an issue driving out that way. So no matter, it was just like going into the parking lot, just getting some catches in, and he's getting some throws in, or we're actually hitting the field, or just spending quality time together. I feel like we both just wanted to build that chemistry on and off the field. So when it comes down to it, like he knows I got his back and he got mine. So.
And that speaks a lot to the type of offense that we're about to run too, because you just got a taste of it out wide last night when we were throwing some player run stuff. And then obviously from the tight end position, but so much of the offense is predicated on having a good relationship with the receiver that's catching the ball and having a receiver option. Depending on where defenders are at and things like that, the receiver can change his route based on variability of the defense. And so having that good connection, it starts with just throwing passes. Like we'll go out into the Sun Bowl on any given day and just throw 100 passes or whatever it may be. Short stuff, long stuff, doesn't matter, but just stand out there, get the ball from point A to point B, in each other's hands, and then that stuff will slowly over thousands of reps. Sure. It slowly starts to correlate into the exact type of things that we're doing in that offense, and all those little bits and pieces are going to lead up to some good stuff on the field.
Love that. Good stuff, guys. Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. When we come back, we'll wrap up the hour with Cade and Judah and more conversation. So stay with us. Sports Talk continues. 600 ESPN El Paso. Final 5 or 6 minutes here in hour number 2 as we continue. We're going to talk some Locomotive FC in our final hour of the show. Meanwhile, we get to wrap things up this hour with Judah Zenwa, who is a UTEP tight end, redshirted last season. So he's got 3 years left. So he'll be a redshirt sophomore here in 2024. I know you're excited. I could just tell by this whole hour of conversation and talking about Cade and what you bring to the table. You tell me, how excited are you for spring ball? Because it will be your first opportunity to get in legitimate workouts in pad and helmet with not just Cade, but with a whole new coaching staff and a half of a brand new roster.
Man, I'm super excited because I feel like, yes, the practices or the player-led practices that we have where it's just 7-on-7, tag off, I feel like that's a whole different ballgame when the Bullets are actually live. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of get a feeling of what everybody can do, who actually likes contact and who doesn't, So I'm really super excited about that and just an opportunity to get out there and show the coaching staff what I can do. So.
Judah, you are also a Nigerian football player like a lot of others on this football team and a lot of alumni as well. In fact, I believe Ronald Awat is also Nigerian and Praise Mehule, if I'm not mistaken. Is that a cool, kind of cultural bond that you all share on the football team?
Oh, of course. Man, we're always talking about how our parents would react to certain things that we would do back home or just missing the food, the home-cooked meals. Our past teammate, Kelly Akari, me and him, we would always hang out all the time. And I think one time he had there's a dish we call jollof rice, and he had some in his fridge, and I was asking him for some. But Kelly didn't want to share. He doesn't like when I'm coming over to his crib to eat any of his snacks or his food. So, but, yeah, it's honestly it's actually pretty cool. I think we have another one, Zach Essie. He's also Nigerian too. So it's cool to have a lot of people from your culture and everything, so you guys can kind of relate, Are
you also the kind of guy that likes to go into people's homes and eat their food?
Of course.
Be honest. That's a good thing to do.
Of course, I'm at Cade's house, Cade's apartment, just opening cabinets, opening the fridge, seeing what he has.
You know. When you come over though, it's not my cooking. You know that.
Oh, of course, his girlfriend.
Yeah.
The best chef out here.
Really? By the way, what's your go-to meal in El Paso since you've been here? What do you love?
Go-to meal, like restaurant or just meal in general?
Let's start with restaurant, then we'll go meal in general.
So, see, I haven't really been, very out there to a lot of restaurants, but I would say West Texas and Rib Hut.
Oh, really? Okay. So West Texas, you eating the steak?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your go-to at Rib Hut? Do you go for the $2 ribs?
No, sir. So at first, we used to get Rib Hut a part of our meals.
Yeah.
So I think I first started at getting the barbecue sliders. Then at some point, they accidentally gave me a barbecue cheeseburger, and I started getting that for a while. Mm-hmm. And everybody was always telling me, minor spud. And I was like, let me try that. So they said, but you got to get on curly fries. And they gave it to me, and I'm like, oh, my goodness, this is a lot of food. And, I feel like you really got to be hungry to get a minor spud on curly fries. But it was, one of the best things I've had out here.
A minor spud on curly fries. So they give you a baked potato on curly fries?
No.
Or they're just taking they take the baked potato and they turn it in with curly fries.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
That sounds good. I never had that before. You ever had that, Adrian?
I have. Shout out to Rib Hut. That place is awesome.
Okay. And go-to meal for you when you're eating a home-cooked meal, what's your favorite? All-time favorite food?
Home-cooked meal that I cook?
No, or just that you see, if you're going home, that's the meal you got to have.
So my mom makes there's a Nigerian dish called fufu. So it's it's one with I would say it's kind of like flour, or it's not. I can't tell you what it is, but it's you mix it with water and then it becomes this almost paste, almost as if.
Yeah.
And then you use it and mix it with soup, and then it's the best thing. But the only thing is you get super full fast.
All right, so fufu is what you're saying that's the ultimate dish.
Yes, sir.
That's my goal, is to go over to Judah's house over the break, maybe spring break. We'll go, and I want to try some.
Man, let's go.
You need to, and then you got to talk about it and tell us what it was all like.
Yep, we'll be back on to share for sure.
Fantastic. All right, before I let you go, a lot of people are excited about this season. Obviously, Scotty Walden brings a different level that we haven't seen. For you personally, give me your thoughts of what you expect here in 2024 from UTEP football.
Things that I expect, not only to go to a bowl game, but win a bowl game. And just honestly, from what I'm seeing and how everything has been going, and how they were trying to install discipline, and unity and everything, and I feel like the way how we are all going to be together by the time it's time for the season, I want a conference championship, and I know everyone else wants a conference championship.
Fans want a conference championship in the worst way possible. You can imagine. So,
man,
imagine going to the games and seeing the Sun Bowl packed and sold out every game. That's what having a team like that would do.
Exactly. And honestly, I think we can do it. I feel like this UTEP team will go down in a history book somewhere, where after one season, the whole program turned around.
I love it.
Love to hear that.
I do too. All right, Judah, you've been great. Thanks for joining us today, and come back and see us. Okay.
And thank you for having me. And of course.
You got it. Next time you come in, we'll talk more about your gaming career, and we'll see how good you are for Madden. All right,
yes, sir.
All right, very nice. Judah with us here again, folks. Judah Zinwa is a tight end for UTEP, number 17. You'll see a lot of him here in 2024. When we come back, John Burklow is in studio. He's going to talk a little Locomotive FC. Their season right around the corner. Stay with us. Sports Talk continues. 600 ESPN El Paso. Welcome back, everybody. One more big hour to go. Cade doing a little air guitar for Ronnie James Dio, one of our favorites, as we get through what will be a busy 6 o'clock hour, because we transition from UTEP football to El Paso Locomotive FC. Season right around the corner. In fact, John Burklow's with us right now. He is the first assistant coach under Brian Clarhot, and going to be talking a little bit about what to expect this upcoming season. Coach, welcome aboard, and hey, we appreciate you giving us a little time today. How are you?
No, I'm doing well. I appreciate you guys having me on. Excited to be here with you. So,
it's your first time on the show, but this is not your first season with El Paso Locomotive FC. In fact, you arrived here with Brian a year ago. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Brian and I have known each other for a few years. I wouldn't say super well. We hadn't actually met in person. The first time I actually got in touch with Brian was when he was in Sweden. I was in St. Louis at the time, and Brian was essentially doing what I was hoping to be doing. So I managed to get in touch with him through social media. We had a conversation over the phone, and then he introduced me to a friend of his, John Wall, who's now the assistant coach with Jamaica national team. And then John and I have become really good friends. We've done a couple projects together, and so when Brian took the job here, Obviously, I knew that he was taking it, congratulated him on the role, and then just through our mutual friend John, it kind of all happened there. So he offered me the job on Christmas Eve.
Oh, wow. Very cool. That's a cool Christmas gift.
Yeah.
I love that. And prior to coming to El Paso with Locomotive FC, you spent almost 20 years in coaching and developing players, and that was really for you what it's been like since your college days came to an end at Liberty, by the way. So if you went to Liberty and you starred there, does this mean that you will root for UTEP every game but one in the football season? Is that how this will come around, John?
Essentially, yeah. If Liberty's in town, I'll be in Liberty blue and red. But yeah, other than that, go Miners.
Would you almost say that you want Cade, okay, let's just take Cade, for example. Say Cade's playing against Liberty. Do you say to Cade, you know what, I hope you throw for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, but you lose. That way, he still plays really well, but you come out happy that
as long as I come out on top in the end, that's all it matters. So
yeah. Cade, thoughts on that? Knowing that the man next to you will rooting for you to lose, but still hope that you play well in the process.
I might throw for 1 yard against Liberty this season, but if we come out with the win, I'm going to be happy, and then I will personally invite John back on the show.
Okay, so that's exactly so it all comes down. And by the way, it's going to be a road game this year, John. They're playing at Liberty.
At Liberty,
year,
yeah.
So yes, because Liberty was here this past season, but not.
I missed that game unfortunately, but
yeah.
So you weren't there?
No, that was the day I left on vacation. So, but yeah, we all knew what was going to happen, didn't we?
What kind of an alum,
right.
John? What kind of an alum leaves the day before a big game like this to go on vacation? How do you not plan better and make sure you stick around for that?
You know what? That was. I love my wife; she's great, but I'm gonna have to put that on her. She's the one that booked everything. So.
Oh, there you go. It's always good. Throw it on the wife. I like that. I hope she's not listening. So if she is, though, would you like to say hi to her?
Yeah, I love you, babe. You're awesome.
There you go. Just make sure you plan this next vacation a little bit.
On a side note, I'm not taking any spotlight away from your wife. On a side note, me and Judah just complimented my girlfriend Kaylee on her cooking a second ago, who was listening to the show the entire time and then turned it off 2 seconds before we said that and then didn't hear it. It's just, it's unbelievable.
I did text my wife and said, hey, make sure you listen. So my wife would, as cooking goes, I don't think your girlfriend's coming close. But,
Ooh, okay.
Wow, he's bringing the heat today.
Not only Liberty, but now we're talking about the cooking, and it's just, you know what, this is going to be a great segment.
I like this. John's a little cocky coming on the program for the first time, and that's good.
Sometimes you need some swagger on air. I have to respect it, but we're also going to temper it,
Go-to dish for your wife. What's the best thing she makes?
Dish. She's unbelievable at soups. So she makes a Tuscan potato soup that is outrageously good. So.
Okay. So really for her specialty or soups?
She kills soups, and she's Hispanic, so anything Mexican food.
Oh, nice. Does she like spice? Is that in the meal? Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense, too. All right. Hey, listen, in El Paso, it's tough to go against somebody that cooks Latin dishes. Okay?
Yeah,
I'm just going to tell you, that is a difficult one.
No, yeah, it's just, you're going to get a different flavor from my girlfriend. She's as white as they come, so she's not hitting the Mexican food like your wife is, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What is Kaylee's specialty?
That's a really good question. Kaylee is here's her specialty: trying random new things that she sees on the internet or on social media and doing them well. So it may not be one thing; it's something different every single time. She'll see it, she'll be like, "I want to try it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to improvise my own little way," and it usually comes out really good. And I have only good things to say.
I like that. So she just likes to play around and have a good time. That's
it.
Exactly. All right, very nice, John. For you, last season we all know what that was like. It was a roller coaster ride. It really was. Ups, downs, and injuries and everything else you had to go through last season. Almost a whole new roster this year. You changed a lot of guys. So with that being said, do you expect it almost to take a little while to get everybody comfortable with their new city, their new roles, and ultimately their new teammates?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you hope we hit the ground running, but I think it's natural that it's going to take a little bit of time to get all of these guys kind of comfortable and clear on what their role is within the team, happy with what their role is in the team, and able to execute what Brian's wanting to do. I know we're really, really pleased with preseason. I know the progress we've made so far has been really good. We're excited to take on Hartford on March 9th. yeah, no, I definitely think it's a group that's going to get better as the season goes on. So.
What have you seen in the preseason? If you really want to talk about the positives, what are some of the biggest things you've noted during your preseason matches?
I mean, for me, the first thing about the group, and honestly, this wasn't any different than last year's group, is the quality of the people we have in the locker room. Last year's locker room was tremendous. A bunch of guys that really fought and worked hard for each other, and this group is the same. So the quality of the people is the first thing. When guys were first coming in, and it was part of our recruiting process was to do a bit of research and making sure we're bringing good guys in. But when you finally meet them, it was really good to kind of see and get that assurance. Yeah. But on the field, we've just got some very special individual players that can do some unique things and really play an exciting brand of football that I think the fans will enjoy. And I think that's, so from an attacking standpoint, we're just able to do some things this year because of the quality of some of those individuals that maybe we weren't able to last year. And to see some of those early signs and some of the relationships that are starting to form has been really positive.
I know you're a defensive specialist. I hear that a lot about you. So have you been happy so far with what you've seen from your defense in the exhibition play?
Yeah, no, I think we're this year, again, it's this year, you always have to play to what you have and what the strengths of the group are. And I think this year's group, we're able to be a bit more aggressive in the way we defend. Last year, we had to be a bit more passive, sit a little bit deeper. But this year's group, the traits we have allow us to maybe defend a little bit further up the field, a little bit more on the front foot. And so far, so good. In a lot of ways, the defending is the easy part. It's the attacking that takes a bit of time to build and get going well. But on the defensive side, I've been really pleased.
And as far as conditioning goes, I always wonder about that because sometimes I feel like when players come in, even when they're supposed to be in great condition, it takes a little while. Do you feel like right now your team is in regular season form in terms of conditioning?
I wouldn't say we're on regular season form, but I know we're pleased with the progress. We're close. We're where we want to be. There's some individuals that we need to make sure we spend some extra time and some individual work with, but I think collectively we're quite pleased with the group. It's one of those things, you can do as much running off the field as you want, but game fitness is only driven by games. And even once you hit the regular season, the intensity of those games are just different than in preseason. So I think for every group in the country, it's going to take 3-4 games before people are going to say they're at their prime physical.
I would love to know just what a day looks like for you guys training in the facility right now in preseason. Because it's so different from every sport. I was actually just talking with Corey from the El Paso Rhinos when I went on his podcast. He was kind of asking me about travel and just kind of days and how it looks. And sometimes there's a lot of similarities between sports and how people operate, and sometimes not. But can you kind of just talk about like how you go through day to day?
Yeah, so a lot of it will be determined on what day it is during the week. Because things are periodized out in a way that each day is going to be slightly different. But, for me, training starts at 10 a.m. is kind of when we were out on the field starting, 10:15. I'm in the office by 7:30, helping with the setup. And then, by 8:30 now there's that first staff meeting where the staff gets together and make sure that we're clear on what we're trying to achieve for the day, what the roles are for everybody for the day. Then from there, if it's a Tuesday or a Thursday or Friday, those are heavy video days where there's going to probably be a video analysis session either before or after or both. Today we had both. We had a video analysis session before training and then after training. Yeah. Then there's training. And then after training, now there could be, are we meeting with the leadership group? Is Brian wanting to meet with the leadership group and talk about something? Are there individuals that we want to meet with and show some video or that we're going to do some extra work with on the field? And when those occur will depend on, what the intensity of the day is. Like Wednesdays normally are heavy fitness day, so that's typically a day where we're not doing a whole lot of extra. They're pretty spent. So it varies a bit day to day, but that's kind of a general run through. And then there's the after training chat where we, as a staff, get together. What did we think went well, and then making sure for the next day that we're all on the same page. So.
John, you are somebody who is almost a USL lifer. You had a chance to play in this actual league, in the mid-2000s when you were out of Liberty. Also, you got a chance to come back and coach in this league. How different is it now compared to back in the mid-2000s?
Yeah, it's night and day. Like the amount of resources and the amount of money that these owners are putting into the clubs now, it's not even a comparison, to be honest. And so it really is night and day in terms of what's being provided, lunch and breakfast for the players, that never even a thought for our guys outside of, maybe a team meal we'll have every once in a while. But now, our guys are fed before and after every training session. The amount of staff, when I was going in, you had a head coach, you had a goalkeeper coach, you had an assistant coach. That was it. If you're lucky, you maybe had a performance guy, whereas it's now like we have 3 assistant coaches. We have a video analysis. We've got a sports nutritionist, sports psychologist, a performance coach. So the resources are vastly different. I know these guys, the financial side for these guys is vastly different from when I was coming in.
Sure.
So from that side of it, what the league has, how the league has evolved has been really, really cool to see. The new TV deal and what that means for the league is massive. Back when I was playing, these games weren't on TV.
Yeah.
Maybe locally, but it was difficult to find. Even getting video for myself to kind of make my own little highlight tape to try to keep the dream alive was sometimes difficult. So, it's really, really cool to see how much the game has progressed, kind of from a macro perspective here in the U.S., but then within the USL as well. It's really been exciting to see.
John Berklow with us here on Sports Talk as we continue. You mentioned the TV deal. I think CBS Sports today announced their partnership with USL along with ESPN+. So there's 3 road matches that are going to be on CBS Sports Network, nationally televised for El Paso Locomotive, plus the ESPN+ access. So everybody gets a chance to watch, which is really what it's all about for you. You mentioned being more aggressive on the defensive side, possibly more scoring opportunities for El Paso Locomotive. Is that going to be the biggest difference that fans are going to note this year when they watch you kick off the season against Hartford? That it's going to be just a more aggressive team on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Defensively, I think that'll be, if you're watching a game last year compared to this year, I think you'll see a difference. And then I think on the attacking side, just the number of players that we have that can do things in the final third is what I think everybody will kind of immediately notice that maybe we didn't quite have last year. So, it's exciting. Hopefully, I know some of the fans that I've talked to are excited about the group of players we've been able to bring in. We're just honestly we want March 9th to be here. We want to get going.
Is this a deeper roster from top to bottom when you really start to look at this club as a whole?
Without a doubt, even the cooperation with FC Juarez, which I think has maybe been a long time coming. The 3 guys we've gotten on loan from them. The quality of those players coming in. Brandon Craig, obviously a guy with a lot of big time youth experience coming in. I think we're able to now kind of look down the bench and we've got this guy can come in and change a game. This guy can come in and change a game for us, and so we're really excited about that.
As an assistant coach, what do you like? Are you a yeller? Are you kind of a calm, cool, collective guy? What's your personality like around these guys?
I would say I'm a bit more of an intense coach, but it's interesting being for me being the assistant. It's ultimately what's Brian need from me. That's really how I look at it, what does this day need from me? Sometimes it needs a quieter voice, and another time they especially on the defensive side, if we're working on pressing, like naturally you want to bring the intensity up, and sometimes you got to do that with your voice. But
Since you worked for Rise SC in Houston in the academy before you came here, and you tell me, as far as the El Paso Locomotive Academy goes, is the future pretty bright when you talk about all the prospects playing underneath?
Yeah, well, when you just look historically at El Paso's always developed players. There's always been players that have come out of the city and managed and made their way into the professional game. And so I was excited when I first came in because you kind of know about that history. And when you see, when you take a look at some of the young guys that we hopefully can get into the first team and make an impact, I definitely think there's people should be excited. But that jump's big. Yeah. And sometimes maybe not everybody realizes how big that jump can be. And so it's really, it's a lot of hard work from everybody, the boys, the staff, the academy director, Ivan. It's a lot of hard work from everybody to make sure that we can get guys into the first team that can make the jump.
Final question, and that is for you. I'm sure your long-term goal is to one day be, coaching your own team in USL and professional soccer. Is that pretty much the case when it's all said and done?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely at a point in my career I want to be able to say that I've done that. When that happens, I don't know. Right now, I'm really happy working for Brian. He's a great guy to work for. I'm really happy at this club. It's a club that I think is one of the top clubs in the league. And so right now I want to focus on doing what I can to help this team get a trophy and help this city be proud of what we're putting out in the field. So I think for now that's my focus, but definitely long term at some point I'd like to be the head coach. So
good stuff. John, good to meet you. Thanks for stopping by. Best of luck this season, and we'll let it slide. As I like it. We have a little bit of I like this little friendly rivalry going with you and Coach Cade. I like that.
You know what? It's good for the radio.
Yes, it is.
It is good to have some competition. I think competition elevates people. So we're elevating each other right now.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Any parting shots you want to give to Coach before we wrap up this conversation?
No, thanks for coming on, and
appreciate it, guys.
Let's mark down that Liberty Day together and watch.
No, I'm looking forward to it. Now I've got even more of a reason to.
That's right.
But no, I'll be hoping best for you too. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and you as well.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Good stuff. John Burklow, folks, joining us here on Sports Talk from El Paso Locomotive FC. Take a timeout. Come back. Final 40 minutes next. 600 ESPN El Paso.
In the El Paso Metroplex, the wind's kind of calming down, but they're still strong in many parts. So use caution. Also, we have some busy, heavy traffic. I-10 east to the Juarez Port. That backup goes back to Piedras, maybe Cotton. I-10 west to the Juarez Port, back up to the Chelsea area. I-110 south, Alameda to the Juarez Port, and there you're going to back up to I-10. But don't forget that we have a lot of construction going on. The Upper Valley, the I-10 west and east at Trans Mountain, Los Mochis area. You're down to one lane, so caution there. This company brought to you by Leo's Restaurant, 7520 Remcon. The Leo's has a full-service bar celebrating 77 years serving El Paso. Famous tortilla soup. Don't forget the delicious sopapillas. Leo's Restaurant, 7520 Remcon. Charlie 1600 ESPN El Paso.
All right, back here on Sports Talk as we continue. Appreciate John Burklow coming into the show. Boy, he talked a lot of crap to Cade. I was impressed, man. Came in here and guns a-blazing, Agent. What is it about these Locomotive guests? And the minute they see Cade, they all start talking smack. Even the assistant coaches are doing it now. What's going on here with that?
They want to show Cade what's the true football.
Man, they're trying to put you in your place the minute you get here.
Everybody's getting a little chippy with me today. I don't know what it is.
I don't either.
I mean, first, I got Kaylee not listening to hear me talking about her cooking. I got other people saying, that they can cook better. They're mad about me saying that about her. Then I got John coming on here getting chippy about Liberty. I mean, it's a day full of animosity, isn't it?
It is. And by the way, we have your back, but you don't need us to really come to your defense. So
no.
I was actually enjoying the banter back and forth and seeing that. But man,
you know what? He was conveniently out of town for the UTEP Liberty game. Can we check the call log? Can we make sure that he did not call the mariachis who joined the locker room?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we should have brought that up. Yeah, about how do you feel about your team after this? That's what we should have done. But there was enough animosity for the show in that segment. It was appropriate.
Alberto, what'd you think of all the back and forth going during that segment with Cade and John?
I was blown away. I just wasn't expecting what was being said in that room. I was like, oh my gosh! But Cade took it really well. I probably would have been taking my shirt off and asking him to meet me in the parking lot.
You never know. That could have been Well, how do you know that didn't happen during our break over here? How do you know that wasn't said already?
Yeah, it might have been. We need to set up cameras in there in case anything fiery ever goes out.
No.
Here's what I'm saying. I didn't. You said you're surprised of what was being said going down here. I think that I have had to do that so many times, not necessarily on air, just in general, when you start talking about teams and all those type of things that, I don't know, it seemed very regular to me. I'm almost surprised you guys are surprised.
No, actually, we as soon as I had it, I was like licking my chops going, we're going to have some fun with this. So, yeah, I was ready to go. Because some guests are very... they won't go there, and he just jumped right in from the outside. I was like, hey, this is good stuff here. Don't even know this coach, and he's just ready to just pipe off from the outset. I was like, yes. First it was the Liberty. Then it was like, oh, my wife's cooking kicks your girlfriend's, and that was how it just escalated. I was like, yes, this is. Forget talking about the club. I'm more interested in doing the Cade versus John segment. That's not bad.
I mean, he opened up meeting off air with, "I'm gonna have to root against you guys." That was like it was like, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm John. I'm gonna have to root against you guys." Okay, I got it. We got it. You're clear.
Oh man, it's good stuff.
It is good.
All right, 28 past the hour as we continue here on Sports Talk. 505-6009. Cade joining us today, and we'll have him back. Actually, I don't know. You normally come in on Thursday, but we only have 30 minutes on Thursday because UTEP is on the road. They're playing Jacksonville State. That game gets going at 5 with our pregame show starting at 4:30. So this could be your only spot this week.
It might be, but it's been a good show so far. It's always a good time we come on, and if for some reason I need to make an appearance later in the week, maybe we could make a guest appearance.
Excellent. I like that. I do. Meanwhile, I'm looking at some of the other topics that are making headlines this. We haven't talked about a bunch of this stuff. You mentioned nobody, it wasn't a huge crowd for the Dodger game with Ohtani hitting his first home run. Adrian, you know who was there today for that game, who took video and texted it to me?
Who?
Wayne Thornton.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. Wayne said the day Ohtani signed with the Dodgers, he went ahead and bought tickets for that game, $40, and he was sitting behind, in that area behind home plate.
Wow. So you got to see it front and center.
Yep.
Great stuff for Wayne Thornton, friend of the program. And, man, for all the Dodgers fans who got a chance to watch him hit that homer, they were definitely treated in a big way. The last at-bat, by the way.
It was. That's right. Before he got taken out of that. So Dodgers look pretty good so far.
The Dodgers look good so far, and it just pains me to say it. I mean, it hurts, and I could not be any more underwhelmed with the Angels this season, and being an Angels fan and having to look and see all the glory that the Dodgers have. And right now in the offseason, the Angels have done nothing, and it is hard right now for me in the world of baseball. It's difficult.
Hey, meanwhile, Angels are 2-2 so far, but they did beat the Brewers today 6-4 behind Zach Plesac, one of the new members of the Angels rotation. And I'm looking down the list of that team, and that roster is
underwhelming to say the least.
It's going to be an interesting season out there in Southern California.
I just keep asking myself, what are we doing? And I haven't found the answer yet. I don't know if I will.
I don't know if anybody will. I don't even know if the Angels will figure out the answer to that question.
No.
I'm not sure how that's going to work. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. They did win 6-4 today. Bottom of the hour as we continue here on Sports Talk. Adrian's got one last look at Sports Center highlights. Let's get to that, and then we'll come back with our final 30 with Cade right here at 600 ESPN El Paso. Calipari against Jan's matchup. It's fantastic with Mississippi State leading at 58-52. 11.5 left to play out there in that one. Meanwhile, your former offensive coordinator was in the news. We found out that Scotty O'Hara is going to go to New Mexico State, of all places, as an offensive analyst. This was not the story that a lot of us expected, but nonetheless, there you go, joining the I-10 rivals.
Yeah, I'm very surprised about this, just because, there's 134 FBS schools, and now he's coaching for our rival team after, coaching for UTEP for however many years he was here with Coach Dimmel, which is surprising. But I will have to say this, that, I grew very close to Coach O over the time that he was here. I know that him and his wife have been working, to try to really build some roots down here. And so I'm glad that he got a coaching job that was close by, and that he can maybe hopefully have some continuity with some things. And I'm happy that he was able to get hired, because he is a great offensive mind and does a lot of things really cool. So I'm happy for New Mexico State that they got him. I'm happy for him and his family, and I can't wait to go beat him the last game of the season.
There you go. By the way, doesn't it almost make you feel like he never wanted to leave the area if he takes the offensive analyst job at NMSU? Maybe he just wanted to stay here.
Yeah, there's absolutely a chance that a lot of people that come to El Paso don't know anything about it, much like me a couple of years ago, and then fall in love with it because there's so many really cool things about El Paso that sometimes the people that live here their whole life don't even acknowledge themselves. And so I know that, he had just gotten a new house this past season over here on the west side, and we went over there as a team and hung out and, did some cool things. And I know he was pretty hyped about his pool that he had. So I haven't got a chance to talk to him yet. I will talk to him soon, congratulate him, and kind of hear out the story of how things went down. But I am happy that he's working and has a spot.
You are starting to piece it all together, right? Your former defensive coordinator is now at Texas State. He joins guys like Barrick Neely out there in East Texas. It's Scotty O'Hara, offensive analyst over at New Mexico State. No landing spot for Dana Dimel. How weird is it going to be to see some of these former coaches you used to see on a daily basis either coach for another university right now coming into next season, or in Dimmel's case, not maybe coach right now?
Yeah, it stings, and that's part of the thing that I don't think, it's almost like losing somebody in a family, because I've talked about this before on the show. You see those people so much and you have such a really close bond with them because you're basically living in the same house as them, so to speak. And you think that that's how it's going to be when you show up. When I got recruited to come here, you don't think that anything's going to change. You're focused on working with them and trying to become the best team possible. And then all of a sudden everything changes at the snap of your fingers, and it's really tough. So I know how good that coaching staff was and how personable they were and how much they take care of their players and things like that. And to see only some of them get coaching jobs, or to have Coach Dimel, not be coaching somewhere right now, it's very weird, and it's hard to see, but it is part of the business. And you kind of got to roll with the punches, and you kind of got to, not look back and be sad about maybe what was gone, but look ahead and be excited for what's to come.
You know what's crazy, but it's happened. We have seen former UTEP football assistant coaches go into high school coaching as head coaches and do really well. Some have performed well here locally. Others have gone to other cities. So it's funny that we always talk about college coaching. Well, some of them could even perhaps go to the high school level, stay in town, run their own program, and enjoy doing that.
It really comes down to what you want to do as a coach, right? A lot of coaches have their sights set on becoming a head coach at a high university level and want to be in the college, level, want to be in the NFL level. And there's different ways. People oftentimes think it's very linear in the sense that, you have a high school coaching job, then maybe a junior college or a lower division university, and then you go to D1 NFL. That's not really how it works. You kind of immerse yourself into different levels and grow upon that level and then find your spot. But what happens is some of those assistant coaches find out they want to settle down, maybe be more around with their family and not want to have to move across the country with the volatility of Division I college football coaching. And then they take all their really good knowledge, and, high school football is still football. It's still football. You just simplify it down and allow it to be in that high school skeleton type of way. And then you have all your really good knowledge from a university level and a high school coach.
Would you ever like to be a high school coach?
You know what? That's a really good question, Adrian. I have said this, and I'm not afraid to say this. I do not think that coaching at a university level is for me, at least not right now. I love coaching kids. That's what I did. It's the first job I ever had as a side job. I kind of started, I don't want to say a business because it wasn't really a business, but I started coaching kids around the community right after I had graduated high school, and I loved it. And since I've gone home and gotten training from 3DQB and the coaches that I have there, I really enjoy training kids. I'm not sure if coaching formally as like a head coaching job or doing things like that is in the cards for me, especially in Division I. Those guys put in hours that I can't even explain to you. It's hard to find a job, and it's hard to work yourself up the ranks.
My favorite example is Aaron Price, because Aaron was the head coach at Hanks for a couple seasons, and he incorporated the Price offense, the passing offense, to Hanks High School. And you could tell before he got back into college coaching after he left Hanks, they were on the rise. It was starting to work, and he was starting to see it, but then, like everything, got back into the college game because he's been so familiar with it. But he loved his time at Hanks, loved sticking around in El Paso for a couple of extra years. So you see that from time to time. You really do.
And you see it from former players, too. Look at the players who've even taken over programs. Ariel Famaligi.
Yep.
We just had Coach Mark Torres here a while back. He was somebody who ran track at UTEP and also had a cup of coffee with the football team as well. You can go down the list. Nate Jeffries is a UTEP alumni.
Julio
Lopez, of course. Mike Pry, who's coaching at Coronado. There's a lot of coaches out here who have UTEP ties, who played here, leveraged their experience at UTEP, and then became head coaches in this city.
Right. My junior college coach, Dean Grossfeld, who played at Utah State, and has been the coach at Cerritos College now. He's been a head coach there for, I'm not sure, call it 7-8 seasons, but he's been coaching there and been the offensive coordinator and ran that offense for like 30 years. And we've had success. There's been opportunities, I'm sure, for him to go other places and do different things. But being around your family and getting to go to your kids' sports games and maybe even coach your kids' teams and things like that, those are things that are important important to a lot of the people that instead of trying to chase the level of coaching that you play at, kind of chase, how good can I be at where I'm at.
How many coaches from last year's UTEP staff, to your knowledge, still do not have jobs? We talked about Dana Dimmel. Are there a lot of other assistants that are still at this point looking for opportunities?
To my knowledge, Adrian listed the only 3 coaches that I know of for sure that have a job. And there might be a couple more, but Coach Neely, our running backs coach at Texas State, Coach Pivoto at Texas State as well, coaching linebackers, and then Coach O'Hara that just got hired at New Mexico State are the only 3 that I know of for absolute certain. I know we had one of our GAs from last year get hired elsewhere. I don't remember exactly where. I think maybe Minnesota. But I don't know of a whole lot that have been hired so far, which is surprising to me.
Coach Wallerstedt, who is fantastic, by the way, was a great coach. He is now the Hutchinson Community College defensive coordinator. He was named that recently. I didn't see this on my radar, but I was just trying to do some really fast digging right now while we were talking. That's one that I see. I want to see John Burris. Who am I thinking of?
Yeah, Coach Burns, and that's
yes.
exactly.
I want to see where he's at right now.
All right, so we'll do a little digging into that, but that's pretty good. Hey, when we come back, final countdown. I want to get Cade's thought on court storming. We talked a lot about that yesterday on the show. Does Cade McConnell believe that we should get rid of court storming in college hoops? We'll talk about that, and even college football for that matter, because when an upset happens, they'll storm the field just like they'll storm the court. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Final countdown next, 600 ESPN El Paso.